the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ward is tied up tonight, and he's not able to join us, so just if anybody has any questions, he is fine. There's nothing wrong with him. So, a couple of housekeeping measures. There are openings on the following committees: the Audit Committee, the Bike Path Committee, Business Development Commission, Carver Cultural Council, Carver Housing Authority, a state representative. Commission on Disability, Earth Removal Committee, we need a growers representative. Finance Committee, Local Housing Partnership Committee, Marcus Atwood Trustees. Old Colony Regional Vote Tech School Committee, we're looking for 2 positions to be filled there. And Town Building Study Committee. Please contact the Selectmen's office for an application. And also, donations to the food pantry can be made at the Council on Aging or the Public Library. There's more need than ever. Please be as generous as you can. Okay, appointments with possible votes. First up, we have an entertainment license application for Cornerstones. Good evening, sir. Come on up and identify yourself and...
William King, I'm the owner of Cornerstones.
I know you, Bill, but the people at home and everybody, some of them may not know you, so. It's a 15-second advertisement for you and Cornerstones, so drum up some business, so come on.
Yeah, well, try to do a good job, but I'm here to, as you know, to get an entertainment license for the weekends.
What are you looking at for entertainment?
Just singles. Just acoustic guitar players, and just enough to get me through the weekends.
Okay. Members of the board, anybody have any questions? Or?
I'll make a motion to approve
I'll
the
second it.
entertainment license for Cornerstones.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Or
I'm familiar. I stop in from time to time and eat in there, and he runs a very good operation. And I know that Mamma Mia's has entertainment, and that hasn't really caused too much disruption. I wouldn't think it would at Cornerstone, so I think it's a good idea.
Appreciate it.
keep you competitive.
Trying.
I know the chief was in the audience. Chief Tufoli, any questions, concerns? No, sir. Okay. I know that I personally haven't heard anything other than compliments about Cornerstones.
I appreciate that.
The pizza is especially good, so we thank you for that. Anything else?
That's it.
Through you, just a little plug that I mentioned at last meeting that I'm starting my office hours at Cornerstones on November 2nd at noontime.
I was informed.
Very good.
Chairman, is that the entertainment in question?
It could be.
I waited for the approval.
Now, if I start to see poles installed near the tables and stuff like that, we may have to rezone that an adult entertainment district. I don't know.
I'm not going there, not me.
Shucks.
I know, being fresh, I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Well, hearing no further questions, causes for concerns, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? It's unanimous, Elaine. Bill, keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. We have Chris Belbin, update on Wade Street project. Super Scout. Hi, Chris, how are you?
Doing good.
Make sure you identify yourself for everybody out there and let them know about your troop, a little bit about your troop and what you guys are up to.
My name's Chris Belbin. I'm from Troop 48 here in Carver. I live on Gate Street at 26, and my dad's known well around the town, and our troop's been getting a lot of Eagle stuff.
Speak into the mic now so people at home can hear you, all right?
We've kept a lot up with our Eagle Scout projects that are coming up right now, and I'm just finishing up mine. And I do know a couple of my friends are still working on theirs right now, so.
How many total scouts are pursuing their Eagle designation?
Within the next few months, I believe we're going to have 3, including mine.
Oh,
which are
that's
gonna be finishing up
outstanding,
hopefully by the
'cause
end of the year.
I know our past history here has been that we've had a significant number of Eagle Scouts, or Scouts attain the rank of Eagle, and the troop's always done a good job. Well, that's great. Okay.
Okay, so a few weeks ago I came here for a meeting and I took a suggestion about putting up a gate on the property because some of the people in the area suggested it. And just as you recommended, I went through and took a poll. And the general opinion which I got back was, I got one person who said definite yes, I got one person who said definite no, and every other house there, except for 4 of them who weren't home, all said that they didn't really mind. But I still asked them, if there was one there, where would you prefer? And the general public opinion that I got back was, if there was going to be one there, it would be put back away from the roads that not a lot of people could see it, but people could still get around it.
Okay, but it would kind of eliminate the off-road
It would
vehicle
eliminate,
access and,
yeah, it would eliminate that added to it, but you could still get around it by walking your dogs and
Okay.
get around it.
so it wouldn't prevent anybody in the neighborhood
wouldn't.
from being able to go out there and walk or anything.
Yep.
But it would limit vehicular traffic out there.
A lot of the people in the area, they all believed that if there was a gate up there, it wouldn't really change a lot there. And they also said that if there wasn't one there, they all keep an eye out on the area there, and they would make sure that nobody else dumps back there like it was before.
How many dumpster loads of trash did you pull out of there?
I got a 18 by 15 by 5 foot dumpster, and we filled it right up to the top.
Okay.
Wow.
I kind of like the idea of a gate,
Yeah.
but still have it accessible to
Yeah.
people that are walking and stuff.
I already have a gate donated by Tractor Supply. I just have to pick it up.
Okay?
And I was waiting for approval or disapproval depending on if I'd pick it up or not. So
Okay.
that's why I'm here.
I think the fact that the town is responsible for that piece of property now, and until the residents over there decide to take it into trust or it's deeded over to conservation or whatever, I think that it's in our best interest to probably have that gate. Can I have some input from the rest of the members of the board, or anybody like to
great.
chime
I
in?
think it's a good idea. I read, I don't know if we received something in our packets or if I just read it someplace, but some of the residents up there have already gone out and walked through the property
Yeah.
and said they walked
Yep.
out and found kids fishing at a pond or something out there, and they came back and they were very pleased with it, so.
When I went and talked to a lot of the people there, they said personally like they haven't walked out back there in so long because they haven't had a chance to. And then some of the people didn't even know it was there, so I recommended that they go out and see it because it is really nice out there.
It is a beautiful area. When I was younger, I used to run out there all the time.
So do you need a motion? We need to make a motion?
Well, I think that's what he's looking for, is a motion whether to proceed with putting the gate up and,
I'm looking for general opinion on a yes or no of saying that I should do it or I shouldn't do it. And if I did, I would need to have some sort of documentation saying I could put it down there. And
Sarah?
Chris, what kind of gate are you proposing?
the gate it would be it's not going to be a triangle gate. It would be a gate pictured like one single gate that would span the cross 12 feet so that it would be accessible to the fire department. And we would put a lock on it, but the only lock that I would put on myself and personally would be with the fire department so that they would have access to bring any vehicles back there if they had to.
Okay, so it's a chain link fence?
It's
gate?
a metal bar gate. If you ever gone down to the Sportsman's Club near the range, they have that metal gate like there. It's a
Oh, yeah.
metal gate like that, but it stretches
Gotcha.
across a full 6 feet.
Gotcha. And that's good, you're working with the fire department.
Yep.
Would there be any need for the police department to need a key?
I haven't thought of that because I haven't gotten into thinking of any
Yeah, I didn't know if the
police
police
reasons for it,
would be
but
going out there. Definitely the fire department would be, but, you know.
if it's something that you would recommend putting a police lock on it as well, I could go down there, stop by and get
Just-
the police lock added
Maybe
on
you
as
can
well.
just check with the chief and
Yeah.
see if he needs one, so. So,
Yeah, I think for the most part, Jack, when we encounter stuff like that, we wind up walking out anyways, because we're usually doing a search or something, so. And if Chief Weston has the key to that, and we need to do a significant search, we work with them hand in hand on that, so.
so do you think he needs a motion? I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
to Grant him permission to go ahead with his project and, you know, put the gate up with the permission of the fire chief.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? It's unanimous. Chris, you guys are doing a great job. We appreciate you and your civic pride and your contributions. Please pass that on to the rest of the troop
Thank you.
for us.
And then just as another thing, if I am going to do it, I do have a little bit of a rush between when winter time starts up. So whenever I could get the documentation saying that I can put it up, I'd like to have that as fast as I can so I can beat out the winter when it comes.
Who do you need the documentation for?
I just need it saying that I've been given permission to put up a gate on the property.
Probably a letter from the town administrator.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that I would get that
Okay.
in a faster pace so I can make sure that I can get it done before all
Listen.
the winter comes in.
that's a great suggestion.
Thank you.
Dot your i's and cross your t's. That'll serve you well through life.
I apologize through you, Mr. Chair. I'm just glancing down at the words on the agenda. So should we be making a vote on that because it says Chris Belvin, update on Wade Street project, and unfortunately, it doesn't mention anything about taking a vote.
Says with possible votes.
Yeah, with possible votes up top, appointments with possible votes.
It's all lumped, thank you.
No, that
Yes.
was good. Chris,
Always
where you going to school? Have you picked a college yet?
I haven't been to college yet. I'm still in high school. I'm in my senior year, so I'm making good progress on college stuff as well.
Excellent. All right, we'll keep up the good work. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks for your contributions. Next up, we have Town Building Study Committee, update on the Collins Center, and I see a few of our representatives here, and I know we have a young lady from the Collins Center here joining us. Everybody, please identify yourselves for the viewing audience at home and those in attendance that don't. I wasn't going to say that, Steve, but I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Dan Ryan, Chairman of the Town Building Study Committee.
I'm Monica Lamboy from the Edward J. Collins Center from UMass Boston.
Welcome, Monica.
And Steve Pratt, Town Building Study Committee.
The last time we met with the Board of Selectmen, you actually requested that we bring a representative from the Collins Center so you could be part of the process to be able
Absolutely.
to ask questions and also provide some input. So Monica made herself available earlier today for anybody who could meet with her, and Sarah Hewins took her up on the offer and did spend some time providing some input. And then for the rest of the board that couldn't make it, this was what the agenda item was for, just so you could provide your input and also ask questions directly to the Collins Center.
Okay, Monica, why don't you tell us a little bit about your work for the Collins Center, your work for the town of Carver, and background experience maybe?
Certainly. The Edward J. Collins Center at UMass Boston was created just over 5 years ago by the Commonwealth, specifically to offer technical assistance to cities and towns. We know towns are really lean and it's really hard to get things done. So we were created specifically to help out. Some of our monies comes from the state, and other part of our funding comes from our clients. So we do an array of different things. We do organizational studies of departments where maybe you want to understand what their strengths are, what some of their weaknesses are, what an action plan might be to help improve it. We do training, we do executive recruitment, we do financial analyses, a whole array of different things. Literally, any question you might have, we can put together a team to help out. And we really enjoy the work. We've worked all over the state at this point, and it's growing. My personal background is I have 25 plus years in municipal government, came out of civil engineering and architecture, and I'm a city planner as well. Worked in Oakland, California, Washington, D.C., and just before coming to the Collins Center, I was the Director of Strategic Planning and Community Development for the City of Somerville, where we worked on the Green Line extension, Assembly Square, a bunch of major projects, including a citywide facilities study, to look at all of the operations and to figure out how to optimize the space that was available and what the needs were for the future. I have two team members who are not here tonight. Tony Teresi is a financial expert, so he is working on the financial aspects of the project. He has multiple decades of experience as a financial officer, capital planning, debt planning, et cetera. And our third team member has a facilities background with a focus in schools, helped to build 4 schools in Shrewsbury, Henry Fitzgerald, and so he will join us on the school aspect of the project. Right now we're focused on the public safety facilities, so we have not yet started the school part.
Very good, very good. Now, you met with Sarah earlier, and I met you, but did not have a chance to discuss the issues with you. You know Helen Marone on my left,
We met
and
outside.
Jack Franny on my far right, and unfortunately Dick is not with us tonight. But how about if we open it up and let them ask a few questions if they have it, and see what's on their minds? Helen?
I just want to know where we're at on the project and, you know, what the steps you're taking to come up with a solution.
Certainly. So, of course, we're looking at all the work that has been done. There's been many years' worth of work by the Building Studies Committee, by the chiefs, by the different departments. So I'm focusing on the facilities aspects, the siting, the size of the facilities, the location, and Tony's working on the financial pieces. So he's looking at the proposal, the revenue sources that were recommended, the debt amounts, and just sort of giving fresh eyes to both of it, and we'll be giving our independent assessment of the proposal.
Thank you.
Super. Jack?
So you're not ready to really give us any sort of assessment right now. Originally, when the Town Building Study Committee came before us, they were gonna have your group come in and look at all the different projects and kind of categorize them and give us an overall assessment on everything. But this thing got fast-tracked up before us. And so, and by the way, I work with Richard Kobayashi. I'm the chairman of the Town Administrative Search Committee, and the Collins Center's just done a fantastic job for us so far.
Thank you.
So, but, so how can you sit here and you don't really have an assessment for us? And it's an important decision that we need to make for, as far as the special town meeting.
Absolutely, and we plan to have a written report for you and a presentation for you. Tonight, I thought was really for me to hear from you, because obviously you're vitally important at your thoughts about the plan, the siting, the significance of these facilities to the town. Public safety and schools are really the heart of communities, so I really had hoped to hear from you. But we will absolutely have a written materials in advance of the meeting and be prepared to come and present.
Okay.
Sarah?
So you'll have the written report prior to the special town meeting, is that?
Yes, we're targeting a week before.
Great, thank you.
Great. So essentially, you started from scratch. That's it, ground zero, and you develop your plan from that.
Yes, we came in knowing almost nothing about the issue, and we've listened to all the information, and we're culling over binders of information, but we will absolutely come up with a completely independent look at the situation with our recommendations.
Excellent, we couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, I'm sure, as you're well aware, like many other communities, we're struggling with revenue streams. Unfortunately, I think we find ourselves in a predicament where we need to prioritize what we have to do and what we can afford to do. And the reality is that we may not be able to do all the things that we want to do, which is unfortunate because we have a lot of projects that need to move forward. Buildings is deteriorating and need to be repaired or replaced, and, you know, some of their power systems and everything else, mechanical systems. So we appreciate your efforts in that assessment of our overall needs, and we're looking forward to seeing the report.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we have some debt service schedules in front of us. Is that for another aspect of the meeting? That isn't for right now, because your financial guy isn't with you anyhow, so he wouldn't really be able to, I mean, he's not here to address this. So is this for when we discuss the article in front of, for the special town meeting? Maybe
Mr.
Jim.
Purcell could probably address that.
Mr. Chairman, there was a conference call last Friday morning. My understanding is Mr. Teresi, Mr. Pratt, our treasurer collector, our bond counsel.
In
I'm
financial?
sorry, not our bond counsel, but
Clark Rowell.
Clark Rowell from Unibank, the town's financial advisor, and Paula Newt is in the
She was
in the
here.
audience. Okay, and Steve.
Saw her a minute ago.
I know Steve was a call participant on that. I can tell you, well, I can't tell you the details of the meeting. I can tell you that since that time, the form of a proposed town meeting warrant article has been firmed up. It is the last.
So would this
it is
relate
the
to
last
that?
article.
This would relate to the town meeting article, not to this discussion right here.
What I'm telling you right now has to do with form, value judgments and affordability and those sorts of things. You know, while more information is being developed and will be forthcoming. You know, tonight we're 3 weeks from town meeting. The warrant, special town meeting warrant, has to be posted. no later than next Tuesday.
So my
So-
question was, this really relates to the town meeting article,
Yes, it does.
not to their report.
The article itself does. The
Okay.
conversation, the conference call went beyond that.
Okay.
I'm telling you that one of the outcomes of the call is that, the form of the article has been perfected.
Yeah, but, I had requested that we had this debt service schedule so we can make an informed decision about the town meeting article, so. So this relates to that.
Yeah, and I think, Steve, this is probably where Mr. Pratt jumps in, Mr. Jim.
Just to offer some clarification, Mr. Chairman, and I don't know if Paul has made it back, but the conversation, and yes, I was a participant with the call. Paula extended an invitation after, receiving permission from Clark and Tony. It was that Clark was going to be putting together debt schedules for the fire station, the police station, and also the elementary school building based upon the 2011 schematic design costs that we had, because that's as best we have. And that he was supposed to get those by Wednesday, so I'm not aware of what debt schedule you're looking
You
at.
have a debt schedule pertaining to the fire station. There's 4 different scenarios on it.
Okay, but I don't know, were those prepared by Clark, because I haven't?
Yes.
I
Okay,
think they
okay.
were.
So the intent was to have, well, my understanding is, it was that it was supposed to be based on 25-year maturity, with a level debt payment and a level principal payment scenario. If there's additional scenarios, then, thank you.
Yeah, there's one for 8.75 million and one for 7 million, and you're right. Level debt and then level.
Okay, the 7 million
Level.
is for the police station.
Yeah.
And that was intended to be, not done at the same time, but it was like more of a 2017 type of idea, so it was out,
Okay.
that. And I don't know, was there also one for the school?
No,
Okay,
And it's
So-
it's like 15 years, not 25?
it is 25.
It is 25.
It is 25.
Yeah, C5.
it's 25,
85.
15 to
Oh, yeah,
39.
yeah. No, I'm sorry, there's something else that's 15.
So I haven't had a chance to look at these yet, so but they do speak to the fire station article, you're correct.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry. Thank you.
Jack, you all set?
Yep.
Dan, you and Steve have a little input you want to provide, or?
I
How
I
things
think
are
we're,
going?
we're good. It's just if you have any questions and maybe any follow-up that you want to provide to Monica as they go through the process, feel free to give whatever input that you want. If you couldn't make it today, maybe you could do something by phone, in the future before they wrap up.
Do we have some email addresses? Maybe we can connect that way. Everybody's got busy lives and
Sure,
running around, so it might be just easier to do that if we can.
okay. And we can work that through Jack Hunter, make sure we,
Sure.
Richard Cagliozzi has my email, so you can get to me through him.
I will reach out to each of you.
Okay. Well, Monica, we thank you for coming down tonight. We appreciate your enlightening us on your organization's approach to helping us with our needs. And Dan and Steve, as always, we thank you for your contributions too. Keep up the good work, please.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, items for discussion and possible vote. Next up is discussion and possible vote to deactivate the website committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I put this on the agenda. I'm chairman of the Town Administrator Search Committee. I've done it on my own, not with any consultation with the Town Administrator Search Committee, but I noted that in the past few years, that the prior town administrator put a lot of time into dealing with this committee, and the current interim town administrators put a lot of time into it. And I just would like to clear the deck a little bit for the new town administrator coming on. I think that in one of our last meetings that we had with the website committee, they said that it could run for 6 months on its own. So if we can deactivate it now, when the new town administrator comes on, he can pick this up as, he or she can pick this up as their project and run with it. So that's my recommendation.
So is that a motion?
It's a motion, yes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Ms. Morone? I'm not entertaining any. Not even from the chair? No, not even from the chair.
I have a question for discussion.
Sure.
What is the reason that you won't let the chairman of the website committee speak? If you're dissolving their committee, is there
You
a
should.
reason why you won't let him speak?
Right. I'm limiting the conversation to the Board of Selectmen
And why is that?
because I think it's in the interest of expediency, efficiency, and decorum.
And the consequences, would you like to know the technical consequences of doing this, or is that material as well?
Well, you can talk to Mr. Purcell. If the vote carries through, you can talk to Mr. Purcell about that.
And I'll have some questions about what I'm legally allowed to do.
Please, Steve, have a seat.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
I
Further
don't have a
comments?
problem having him speak.
Well, no, we're not turning this into a circus as happened in the past. So,
Well, I think everybody's aware, I was pretty thorough in my opinions on the website, and Steve did clarify for us that it could run on its own for 6 months, so.
And we'll be having, the town administrator will be coming on in the next several weeks, and, this is something that, at his leisure or her leisure, they could pick up and run with. I think, I appreciate the work of the website committee. I think they've done a good job, and the fact that it will run for the next 6 months leaves us with some options.
Can you just state a motion, because that wasn't really a motion?
I make a motion that we, at this point in time, deactivate the website committee.
anything further?
I just have to know what that means. What am I supposed to do?
Mr. Dewhurst, please take a seat. You're disrupting the meeting. Any further comments?
I think we should just clarify for the audience that we have talked about this, and you had tabled it, Jack, several months ago. Well, I don't even know how many months it's been, but we were explained through Steve that it could run for 6 months, and there were a lot of concerns regarding how the website committee was being run, and I don't know how much discussion you want to have on this, Mike, in terms of, but this has been a topic that has come to the board several times now, so I have been in favor of this, and I think once the new town administrator comes on, we will reassess the website and how we want to proceed, whether it be a website committee or an IT committee for the whole entire town of Carver, so.
Mr. Chairman, my concern was the inordinate amount of time that Rick LaFawn spent on this. I know Jim Purcell's spent a lot of time, and with a new person coming in this position, we have a very lot of real important information, and projects that need to get done, and we don't need him or her getting tripped up trying to go about doing their job. So this is, and in the future, I'm gonna have a couple more items that I wanna put out here that I want you to act on too, but this is the first of several.
From my perspective, I'm inclined to agree with Mr. Franny and Ms. Morone. I think that the website committee served its initial purpose, its initial mission, which was to set up a website. I think now it's incumbent upon us to take a step back, take a look at what direction we want to go in, and then let the new town administrator set things up as he sees fit. So we have a motion, and we have a second. Mr. Purcell?
Discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just occurred to me sitting here that I am a little concerned about the immediate consequences of dissolving the committee. And if I'd thought of it before, I might have said something before. But is it possible that you would consider an effective date of the dissolution? To be something either tagged, to the first day of the new town administrator, or a date specific just now. I mean, my time is, I'm down to 2 days a week trying to
Yes.
stretch this thing
Yeah.
out for a
Exactly.
transition.
Yeah.
And I don't want to use up the rest of the 2 days a week for the rest of your time.
And it
either, which
may,
very well could
You know,
happen.
Yeah, so if you dissolved it effective immediately, I may end up,
Right.
redirecting my time away from town meeting things to, to website
But we were
things.
told that it could run on its own for 6 months, so, and that's the premise I was going on.
Right.
So, effective immediately, that's the way I look at it.
I'm inclined to agree with him on that.
Okay, and honestly, I don't have the technical expertise to argue whether it can run on its own or not.
Well, we were told
you know,
by
for 6
an
months,
expert that
yeah.
that's what would happen, so, and I'm basing it on that. You know,
We'll see if it works. No, no, no. It affects a lot of people. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed?
We have one opposed. The motion passes. Committee's deactivated. Mr. Purcell, if you'll collect up all the code and the passwords from the people on the committee, that would be appreciated. Okay, moving on. Fire Department, MIA Grant and Gift Fund. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Anybody else want to second it?
I'd like to second that.
Any comments, questions, concerns?
I know the fire chief's here, I didn't know
Yeah.
if he wanted to speak to it or if,
Thank you. I tried to address this at the last Selectmen's meeting, just so you know. Just
Okay.
take 3
Yeah.
minutes. And
Yeah.
we did apply for a grant to the MIA insurance carrier, and we feel good about it, so I just ask you to support it for new lighting for some of our apparatus.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, Elaine. Thank you, Chief. Plymouth County Legislation, Deeds Excise Bill number 2516, Stabilization Fund Bill number 1829, and Pension Obligation Fund Bill number 337.
Double seven.
I make a motion, we approve an act relative to the deeds excise and an act relative to the establishment of a county stabilization fund. I'd like to put on hold the pension obligation bond, because I have some questions on that.
Okay.
I think it requires further review on our part.
There was an update on the number of that bill, too. It is 3377 opposed to 337, so that was my mistake. Elaine did in fact mention that to me earlier. You want to put that on hold, Jack, and you just...
I'd like to get some further information. I had gone to the Plymouth County Advisory Board meeting. This is a very, this is based on, the stock market doing very well, and if it doesn't do very well, we can end up paying the debt service and additional fees, which could be even a bigger burden on us. So I think that we really need to have someone come before us and give us a good explanation so we can base our decision on that. The other two are virtually no-brainers. Plymouth County, I never realized it, but they couldn't have a stabilization fund, which would be nice for them to draw from once in a while. And the deeds excise, I know that the state has come in and, taken the lion's share of that. Plymouth County does all the work, and they take something like 90% of it. So I really think we need it here in the county for what we're gonna try and do. Because I'm on the Plymouth County Charter Review Committee, and we also have legislation in there for them to do more services in the way of regionalization of services. And the additional funds from this would help them out. It wouldn't be a burden on us. We're earning that money anyhow. So those are my comments for these 3 articles.
All right, so your motion is to approve the first 2 articles and put the third one on hold.
Yes, I think we need someone to come before us and give us, further information
Right.
on that. Might very well be something that we want to do, but I think we need to know everything, what's going on here.
Not-
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second to approve the first 2, 2516 and 1829, and to table the 3377.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions, or Sarah, you have anything on this?
Well, I think that, it was explained to us last meeting, the Plymouth County Contributory Retirement System House bill, and I don't have a problem with, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but but I'm not against tabling it either.
What they explained before us was in much more in-depth than what Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Pilata, they kind of just brushed over it. And I think that we really need someone to come in that can give us the pro and the con of this, so we can really see what we want to be doing. And what we could do is, if the stock market did very well, we'd save a lot of money. But then what are we going to do with that money? We want to make sure that we somehow reserve part of it in a fund for the day that when it reverses and goes the other way. We don't want to just have it get absorbed into our operating budget and then be caught short with, so we really need someone to come in that knows more about this than I do. I sat at the meeting, I seemed to understand it, but it was 3 weeks ago, so I'll try and line up someone
I
to
was
come
just
in.
gonna
that
say
will,
that.
you know,
So
that-
somebody needs to contact Tom O'Brien and them and let them know
The
that.
chairman of the advisory board is a selectwoman from Norwell, and she has a good background, and I'll see if she can come down and speak to us.
Just let them know we approved the first 2 bills, and the third one is, we're still.
Right,
looking
Mr.
for
Chairman,
info.
just if through you, if I can ask Mr. Franny, so the the bonding authorization for pension obligation bill, is presumed to be, you know, a big assist, you know, in meeting unfunded pension obligations. You know, what the term of that is and what the end date for county compliance, you know, the pension system compliance with full funding. I don't know if those schedules align or not, but I don't think it, you know, when someone comes, you know, I think you need to ask about those schedules, how they align with
Oh,
one
yeah.
another.
Yeah.
And to understand that, you know, the bonding obligation is supposed to address in a substantial way, but not be the only way. You'd very likely have to supplement it with annual appropriations, you know,
Yeah,
when the time comes.
right now, I think basically what we're doing, and I'm not an expert on this, I'll try and get Billy Farmer, he's the executive director
Yeah.
of the retirement system. Basically, they got us pegged that it needs to make 8.5%. And so that's what our assessments are based on. We'll be borrowing this at 5%.
Right.
And bear in mind that because of the complexity of this, we're not allowed to get a tax exempt bond. We have to get a taxable bond. So,
really?
and then there's some sort of restriction on that they can explain. But, you know, and as long as the stock market does well, we'll do well. But if it doesn't, we'll still have to pay the debt and pay the additional money in there. Now, there'll be a savings right away. We want to make sure that somehow we capture that, that we don't let it, because there'll be a big push to get absorbed into the operating budget. And if the thing reversed itself, then we'll be even in worse shape than we are. But, you know, I'll try and get the select woman from Norwell and Billy Farmer to come and speak to us. I'm going to recommend that we have a meeting next week too, so maybe we could get him to come then.
If I, Mr. Chairman, Jack, what's the end date? What's the new statutory end date for meeting our full pension obligations, and where does Plymouth County stand?
Well, we got, oh, you mean as far as the
With
schedule?
respect to that, yeah.
We're at like 2028 or 2029, and because of the big amount of money, you know, they've been smoothing it over like 1 year at a time. But
Yeah.
it's so large right now that they're thinking if they want to cut it in half, they're going to have to smooth it to 2034. And the highest you can go to is 2040. And once you hit there, and let me give you an example. Back in 1998, you know, we were way over, and they gave us a 40-year schedule to straighten it out.
Yeah.
The IRS would only give private industry like GM and all that 2 years. And you can't imagine how we messed it up over 40 years, all these municipalities. And now we have to do it again. So the pension that we have, defined benefit, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, most private private companies have dropped it. Government's the only one that has it now. And this is a reach, so I think we really need to have someone in here to tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly.
In difficult years, the legislature eases that schedule, and that's why that schedule, you know, keeps getting out further. Pension systems aren't obliged to go to that max, and obviously Plymouth County is at, is 12 years beneath, which suggests some sort of a conservative approach there anyway.
And that's just on the pension. We actually went and set up a fund for the OPEB, and we've never funded it, and that's even bigger. Right now, our pension unfunded liability is around 14 million for this town, but
Do you have an OPEB trust, or
For,
did you
for the
have-
people in the audience that don't know what the OPED is, that's our health care.
yeah, that's your health for the
So-
retirees, and that's up around 40 million, 42 million.
Right.
So, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, so we need to start addressing it. And this was a way for Plymouth County to try and address these big, large jumps in it.
Deficits,
Yeah.
the jumps. My concern, and we talked about this briefly, I think, is that in 2 years, they mentioned a potential levy of like 400,000 plus contribution, Jack, to the retirement plan,
Mhm.
which, I mean, that could eliminate our ability to contribute to stabilization funds or anything else, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we've got some serious issues.
Well, what they're considering is they're trying to cut that in half. They'll move to 2034, spread it out. to
Right.
that. But,
That's the easing I talked about.
I know the people
earlier.
probably
they
understand it.
do.
I understand it, but I think Bill Farmer and this other lady can explain it in more detail.
Sure.
Okay.
Wellesley did it several years ago. It's the only place I've heard that have done, pension obligation,
Funded it?
pension obligations, for future pension liabilities.
It sounds like a good idea, but, if you have, some problems with the stock market, then,
Yeah, I'm
and we'll tell you, the Plymouth County Retirement System has just done a fantastic job with managing that. Years ago, they tried, they tried to get us in the Group Insurance Commission, they tried to get us to move over and go in the state plan. And the Plymouth County system for the past several years has outperformed the state, so.
I apologize for
No.
prolonging this, Mr. Chairman. I
No,
know
no.
there's a motion on the floor
No,
on the
there's-
other two things.
That's information you need and the general public needs, and.
And you have a background in it too, so you bring certain,
I just wanted to
credibility
sound
to
like a
it,
big
yeah.
shot and talk about
Plus, it educates novices like me that, Finance 101, that was it.
it. All right, thanks.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the amended motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous, Elaine, thank you. Okay. Review and recommendation of special town meeting warrant articles. It's all yours, Mr. Purcell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe I stated earlier that we're 21 days from the November 12 special town meeting date. The warrant has to be posted no less than 14 days before that meeting, so that's next Tuesday, and here we are. Regardless of your position on some of the articles, specifics, some form of warrant, I hope to get your blessing on tonight. It was suggested to me by one member of the board this afternoon or this morning, I forget which, Mr. Franny, that perhaps by next week, for next Tuesday, you might want to convene a joint meeting with the Finance Committee to actually start getting into and, taking positions relative to this. So, at a minimum, Mr. Chairman, whether all of these articles are included on that warrant or not, I would like to get some form of warrant okayed.
yeah, we will
so that
definitely
we can do
finish
the
it
posting.
tonight.
Yeah.
It needs to be finished tonight, because it needs to be posted.
All right, so how do we want to address these?
I think we should go through each one. Okay.
Okay.
We want to,
I'm lacking in some detail in some areas, Mr. Chairman, so I'll just give a brief explanation. Article 1 are unpaid bills from prior fiscal years, but for the Norfolk Ram one, they're relatively modest. The quantum vote requirement at town meeting is 9/10 to approve these. The Norfolk Ram thing, you're all familiar with it,
Yeah.
more familiar with it than I am. The town has to better manage it, and most especially Norfolk Ram has to better manage this. This represents the fourth quarter billing for landfill monitoring services. They are largely services that are repeated in each of the first 3 quarters of the fiscal year.
They
Okay?
primarily deal with the North Carver landfill.
That
don't
is
they?
correct, yeah. And, there's no reason why the town and Norfolk Ram can't be getting together in early or mid-June at the latest and deciding what the encumbrance number would be. While I understand that there are occasional cost overruns, that most of this obligation can be met, could have been met with encumbering the account balance last June from last fiscal year and carrying forward. It doesn't seem to be really a net expense to the town because the unexpended balance fell into the general fund, will become part of the next free cash certification. And you're looking at using free cash for this, which will be certified by town meeting. But, the town in Norfolk Ram should better manage this 4th quarter billing business.
But
I don't like unpaid bills.
Every year this seems to happen, and Rick
Every
would come
year.
before the finance committee and actually get a reserve fund transfer for the
Is
end
that
of
so?
the year. Rick
For any
wasn't here.
overages, yeah.
Rick wasn't here then, so, and no one was here in that position. You didn't start till afterwards, so, we should check with the finance committee and see if anything ever came before them. But basically, it would come into the vicinity of this. I don't know why we never funded, why we never appropriated money after all these years to cover us in this. But every year Rick would come, especially when I was on the finance committee, he would come in and it would always, but I think probably it didn't go before the finance committee. That's why it's on the
Probably for
special
the
town
overages.
meeting.
I've got the town meeting warrants for the last 3 fiscal years. This is a repeat thing.
Not to go adrift, too far adrift
Oh,
here.
yeah, okay.
But as far as Norfolk Ram is concerned, I
Yeah.
know that there was some discussion about recovering some costs related to the North Carver Water District. I don't know if that was ever pursued or not.
I don't know what that's about.
Nothing? All right, I'll,
I think that's a separate issue,
Mm.
you know.
well, I
don't
mean,
think
we're,
it's really-
we're paying a bill.
Yeah.
And if they owe us money, I would just assume pay them what we really owe them as opposed
Exactly.
to pay them and then wait for them to reimburse us or something, you know what I mean?
If our own accounting rules will allow it.
Why don't we have
Well, that's true.
Mark Bartlett come in and meet with you and maybe Mike or me or something like that? Because he's usually pretty good about his explanations.
Maybe we can get Mr. Johnson, past water commissioner, and the current water commissioner to come in and give us updates on what's going on with that. Okay, I won't hold you. Yeah.
Article 2, now that we're talking about water, we need to actually rescind the appropriation for the North Carver Water District that was voted on June 3rd, 2013. We need, basically, we need to identify different funding sources. I understand among the funding sources voted on June 3rd, 2013 was some retained earnings. There are no retained earnings, to apply to this. So I know Mr. Franny is spoken to the town accountant today. I asked her to give him a
Yeah,
call
the-
after he asked me some
She's
questions.
raised some pretty big issues on this.
Yeah.
I have a little main issues here. I don't know, did you hand this out to the rest of the Board of Selectmen? She emailed it to
Fire
me.
away.
Points,
Oh, the
bullet
North
points?
Carver, those were talking points, yeah,
Yeah.
that she put together.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I just want to read this.
Okay.
Negative retained earnings for fiscal 13, which just ended, had a negative balance of $31,319. This means that any and all emergencies or unforeseen expenses will have to be paid by the town until they can build up retained earnings. 2, fiscal 14 budget shortfall is $100,000 only because of one-time betterment payoff. Cannot be the basis for future bargaining. We had some big payoffs, and that reduced the need for the amount of money that we need, reduced it down to $100,000. Without one-time betterment payoffs, the district is currently looking at an annual budget shortfall of $250,000 plus for fiscal 15 and fiscal 16, and it will increase to a budget shortfall of $350,000 for fiscal 17. What is the long-range plan? 4, what is the long-range plan? If just trying to add more business in North Carver, then it cannot really be considered as a going concern, as there are only 55 businesses paying water usage charges, and there is no contingency plan should one or more businesses fail. With a client base that small, one business will be devastating. 5, what does this mean for the town? It means that each year the town will have to subsidize operations, and currently town budgets are balanced. By picking up an annual subsidy of $250,000, the town would have to locate a major revenue stream to balance budgets or make significant cuts to town budgets.
Who was that from, Jack?
The town accountant,
Can we get a copy of that?
yeah.
Okay.
Does someone want to make a copy of these?
Yeah.
You know, this is, I mean, when I served as treasurer collector, we had concerns about the monies, and it wasn't up around that figure, but it was around 175, 200,000 that we thought that we were gonna be short. And then, the prior town accountant met with the DOR, met with the auditor, and came up with his plan, and now all of a sudden this has surfaced. And, this is a serious matter that we have, we're gonna be taking a hit for 250,000. We have the pension that's 400,000, it might be cut in half, that will be 200,000. So we really need to look at all these things that are gonna be impacting us for the future. I
Well,
also
You're
checked-
absolutely right. I mean, you combine that with a significant hit from the pension liability, and we could be in serious trouble here.
And I also checked with her, she's gonna get some figures between herself and the treasurer collector, that there's like $77,000 in short-term interest. They really only needs to be like 7,000 or 8,000. So if we can utilize part of that, because
You had mentioned that last
we're
year.
using up a lot of free cash now that would normally be used in the annual budgeting process, and we use that to fund our articles. So we really need to know what the free cash figure is. We don't know what that is right now, but in this warrant, there's about $200,000 in usage of free cash, so.
I thought I pressed 10.
Did you press 100?
Finally, that did interrupt.
You gave the wrong one.
Jim, I'm sorry, I
You
think
gave
you
it the
gave me
wrong
the
one.
wrong one.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You gave
You
me
took
Town
some.
of Granby.
I was running those off and they wouldn't print for me, so.
Well,
You
here
can
it
keep-
is.
you can-
Oh, so
I
You
got
can
enough
keep
kindling
the
to
whole thing
Yeah.
activated. Here we go. So
Yeah.
I can-
And why are we in Granby?
I
I'm
did
gonna
get
tell you
ten.
about that on the selectmen's
Okay.
notes.
I got enough
We'll
kindling
keep
at
that.
home. That's North Carver Water
Okay,
District.
you definitely
Jim,
got
I don't have
Thank
North
you.
Carver Water District.
Hey,
Jim,
You didn't get one?
Sarah, didn't get
You
it.
didn't get
You
that
can keep that,
signed?
Sarah.
WD.
Thank you.
You can
She's
keep
in
the
Granby
Granby.
too.
Next time I'll do it, Jim.
Yeah, Jim. Come on, Jim.
I
been a-
couldn't get it to work, you must have got it to work for me.
It's been a long day, and Jack's got me confused too, so don't feel bad.
Okay. There you are.
Thank you.
Take Granby.
Okay.
You've got your thing back. All right.
I'm gonna give out Granby to everyone.
Alan, did I give you?
You did.
All right.
You're okay.
All right, are you good on that, Jack?
I'm good on that.
We're gonna try and keep this thing moving. Are you all set with that, Jim?
I am, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I get confused enough on my own,
Uh,
Jim. You know,
Yeah, don't need any
I
help.
thought you were,
you know, I don't need any help.
I thought you were giving these out too.
Are we moving on to Article 3?
That's right.
Scared.
Do the members of the audience all have copies of this?
They're
Okay,
up there.
so they can
Yeah.
follow us?
Somewhere in there.
They're on the table up here if you don't have a copy, folks. Yep.
Number 3.
Article 3. You want me to read it, Jim?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
It's okay.
I
Go
was
right
still,
ahead.
Long night.
still in search of the North Carver Water District memo. Okay.
Oh, you're on the clock. Speed it up.
Back
Come on.
Okay. We have 2 revolving funds in deficit, Mr. Chairman. Council on Aging Transportation Revolving Account, $2,820.12, and a municipal insurance revolving account, $5,467.
Okay.
Article 4 is, still in
still in development. There are some obligations that have to be met, $3,000 in fire operating expenses. We've had separation expenses from the DPW and police departments. We do have, we're projecting a present year surplus of in excess of $60,000 in our pension account. That's why when you see in the from category, Plymouth County Retirement, I had suggested a $30,000 sum to the town accountant, to leave us a bit there. So, a combination of free cash and a reappropriation of previously appropriated pension monies could be used to offset these expenses.
Are we gonna get a breakdown of that, Jim?
Yeah, you'll get a more,
We do,
you'll get a more precise,
he handed one out.
Okay.
you'll get a more, you'll get a more precise
No one's gonna
Oh,
like
he
it.
didn't-
breakout, and that's,
Okay.
that's being developed as we speak.
Thank you, sir. Article 5?
Article 5 is it's a mandate, it's a GASB 45 mandate to do an actuarial evaluation of what our OPEB obligations, that means other post-employment benefits, that's what the acronym stands for.
We actually had it done in the prior year, but I did talk to the town accountant, it was done late, so we need to get caught up, so that's
Right.
what this is. And this is, I talked to her, she got a better price. She solicited 2 quotes, and this was the best price, so.
And the GASB, just for clarification, that's an accounting acronym,
General accounting.
general accounting,
Government
General
accounting
Government Accounting Service
Standards
Bureau.
Board, Standards Board.
just for
That's-
general info.
that's-
Standards Board?
You were
That's
all-
us CPAs, we do
Oh,
all
all
that
right,
stuff.
yeah, you ought to know that then, yeah.
Keeps us employed.
Okay. That was Article 5. Article 6, Mr. Chairman, now, this was a late submittal. I can't tell you anything about it. I don't know if it's a repeat from a prior year. $25,000 to replace a generator at the Cranberry Village Water Pumping Station.
They had a problem during that big storm in February with it, and they had problems with the generator.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is probably to do this. I know that they have their own fund balance at Cranberry Village, but maybe in conjunction with this, in a later meeting, we should have the people come in from Cranberry Village and review the user fees, because we haven't done that for 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Well, actually, this pump is the town pump.
Yes.
Down at Cranberry Village. And
Yeah.
these 2 articles, for some reason, just didn't make it on the annual town meeting last year. I believe that's why they're here now.
I knew that was the case with 7 and 8, but
Yeah.
was that the case with 6 as well?
I believe so.
Yeah, we own that equipment, so.
Is that right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Article 7, Mr. Chairman, Article 7 and 8. Article 7 is requesting a sum of money to clean the municipal wells 8,000-gallon water tank, to have that cleaned. The money to be expended by the Building and Grounds Department. The estimate last spring, I don't know, was, it somehow didn't make it to the floor for a town meeting vote. But the sum was a little under $3,000 last spring. I understand that this is a more firm figure. It's nearly double, or
Is this for the
Or a little more
well
than double.
behind the library, to
Yes.
serve the municipal complex?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
can't tell you.
It
Okay,
is.
Yeah, that's the municipal
I'm
one.
the new guy. Also, the sum of $4,800 to replace the radiator on the emergency generator at the police fire station. Is that it, right outside the window there? I take it.
Behind the building.
Oh, behind the building? Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, for the chiefs, didn't we have problems with that during that storm as well, too? Or was that the repeater or something? Was that a different issue?
That was a generator actually at the repeater site
Oh, okay.
that was taken care of,
And this is it?
separate for the public safety building.
Okay.
Article 9, Mr. Chairman, is the Board of Assessors and Director of Veteran Services are proposing a veterans volunteer program. It is you know, the mirror image of the senior tax program, you know, where folks work for, I guess there are hours caps and income caps. In 2006, you adopted the senior work program one with 2 articles. One was to accept, you know, the certain statutory provisions establishing the program. And the second article actually sets your income cap on it at
$600.
$595 is what it was.
That was not a good thing for the town, because it was like, you only issue a 1099 if it's $600 or more, so there was a little bit
So
of.
that's
Oh,
the
that was the
reason for the
basis.
$595.
But the fact of the matter is that authorization from the state says that the wages that they receive are non-taxable for Massachusetts purposes, but for federal purposes,
federal
they are
purposes,
taxes.
yeah.
And they either have to pay social security taxes or alternative. And this will be the same case here. But I did notice in the prior submission of this that they were looking for $1,000 per year in the other authorization.
Here's what, both the statute for Chapter 59, Section 5N, and for 5K is the senior one,
Yeah,
both say up to. It's a sum not to exceed.
that we had authorized,
And you can set.
basically 600, but we should raise it up.
And this is, here's a point that that I'd like to make. I'd suggest to you that you stick with just one article, unlike 2006. Because once you accept the statute, then the selectmen have rulemaking authority thereafter. And right now, I think you kind of locked yourself into the senior one. You may need a town meeting vote on
What
that.
people have to understand.
If you ever
is-
need to change the dollar amounts.
And what people have to understand is this is only available to people that own a home. It's not available to any of the people that
Right.
live in the mobile home parks, because it relates to forgiveness of the real estate tax that you're gonna
Right.
pay. So, and the other thing is
That's a good point.
an amendment to the senior work-off program allows for someone else to work for that senior, like a son or a daughter or a friend, and that person will still get the credit on their,
Is that new?
yeah.
Okay, because,
It was like last year or the year
okay,
before.
I remember looking into it
Yeah.
when I was in Norton, and that was
Yeah.
3 years ago, and we couldn't.
Yeah.
And thought that was a shame. Oh, good, that's
Yeah.
good.
Excellent.
So, Mr. Chairman, that's
Okay.
that's it. And as you and I spoke in the minutes before the meeting, Mr. Chairman, by not locking in the rate at town meeting, you can be faster on your feet if in the middle of some fiscal year, or maybe even at the beginning of a budget process, you wanted to set a different number.
Right.
Is this in addition to the veterans benefit that they're granted?
Yes.
They have a $400 veterans
Yes.
benefit, too.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's Article 9.
Good.
Article 10, Mr. Chairman, is a vote to authorize the lease of any portion of the North Carver landfill for the, what is a proposed solar energy production facility.
Now,
I
you
know
had
you
passed out an article
Yeah.
that's different than that. Is that what you want to have included in there, or what is this?
I don't know, that came in at 4:34 this afternoon, and that looks to me like a separate article request for tiffing, I'm sorry, not for tiffing,
It's a pilot agreement.
for what, for a pilot agreement on the property.
The one from Rich Holland?
Yeah.
And then there's another one, too.
That's the same one that's on the warrant.
Oh, is it?
No, that's the,
Looks
yeah,
like a
Looks
bigger
like
one.
it.
yeah, if you look at it and
Slightly
hold it up to the warrant, it's one and the same. But
This
this,
other one is
but the
separate.
pilot business, I don't know how to, if that's a separate article, and
We did that once before for the landfill up on Plymouth Street, and we had authorized the pilot, so,
I think,
maybe we should include this in as an additional.
it's safer to do that, then
think
at least
it's-
you preserve your right to take it up.
right, and I believe it's because there are 2 applicants, and one was proposing a pilot and one wasn't.
I see.
So maybe we should include this as an additional article, and then we can always strike it afterwards.
Okay.
But if we don't do it now, it can't be done.
It's safer, right.
Just as an update, Sarah and I met with those two companies along with Jack Hunter and interviewed them. So at some point in time, we're gonna get together and make a decision as to what we would recommend to the rest of the board, as far as which organization to go with. So, both very good, both very reputable, and just, boils down to dollars and cents and who you have the most confidence in, so.
So should we have them come before the Board of Selectmen and make a presentation before the special town meeting? So we can see who we're gonna, because you'll need something in place, I think, like we did for the Plymouth Street landfill. So I think we really should make a decision before we go to a special town meeting.
Well, I think the whole idea of us interviewing them was for us to make a recommendation to the board and try and answer any questions. I mean,
So can we put that on the next agenda?
for us to make a recommendation.
Yeah.
We'd have to find out when Jack's coming back and when we'd have an opportunity to get together, and I'm not sure when we'll be able to do that. You're talking about a meeting next week already,
Yeah.
so.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Mr. Franny a question? Jack, does what's printed as Article 10 is simply seeking authorization to enter into, is one thing. Does a pilot, do you need specific terms to present
Yes.
to town meeting?
That's what
To
we
get that
did.
voted, or
And
is it
when
simple
we worked with the
authorization?
assessor's office, they came up with a lot of and we worked with proponent's attorney and also town council.
Wow.
No, we worked with tax title council, because they had a better background in it, so. I can meet with you tomorrow and run over all that.
Okay, so
and
an
tell you that.
authorization like Article 10 is sufficient in its present form, but the pilot one, I haven't done one. I haven't
Yeah,
done one
so
before.
I'll meet with-
You're saying the deal has to be presented to town meeting? for a
Yes.
vote?
That's what was done at the,
And-
it was, and we can look it up, it was a special town meeting that we had that we
Is that right?
presented it. And we also have, and Paula should have it in our office,
Yeah,
the agreement, so.
21 days, that's,
And,
wow.
and also Ellen should
It's a short
have a
time.
background in it as well.
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks.
Anything else, Jack? Is that good?
That's it.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I suggest then that Article 11 be this, the pilot proposal?
We'll move all the others
That we
down.
would change the numbers
Okay.
of the final two? You do have the form of the article here. It was by council and, subject to any edits, that you're agreeable to put that on the warrant as
I'll
Article
come in and
11.
meet with you, and we can
Okay.
maybe get a hold of the tax title attorney and run it by him, make sure that this meets with his,
Okay,
what he wants to have in there, so.
all right. So then, what is now Article 12, Mr. Chairman, is seeking authorization to convey a parcel of property, town-owned property, assessors map number 62, lot 167, also known as 4 Oak Drive, Carver, Mass. What I learned at the TOPS, Town-Owned Properties Committee meeting, is that this is a 50 by 100 lot. There was a vacant structure that, I guess about 7 years or so ago, imploded. I don't know that the property has been cleaned or not, and what we've had over the years is some encroachment by abutters on either side into the lot. They've now expressed an interest, apparently, in acquiring it. And,
Let's get it back on the tax rolls.
yeah, precisely.
So you're putting a sale by auction, so that, we're gonna auction it, we're not gonna give it to the redevelopment authority to sell, is that correct?
I would suggest that you, it says, it specifically identifies the Board of Selectmen as the party responsible for this. I suggested at a staff meeting today, we had a pre-town meeting, a go-over on this, that you that you do an RFP, a Chapter 30B RFP. Here's why. You're gonna wanna recover some of your surveying expenses. If there are parties of interest on either side, you know, that want to acquire something, I suggest, whether it's classified as land of low value or not, you know, put out a Chapter 30B, you know, request for proposal, so.
And that would take some time to get, you know, put all that together and get the DOR to rule on it, so.
To rule on what?
Land of low value.
Land of low value, yeah. So I think this is a more transparent administrative procedure, and it assures you, you can set a minimum
So
bid price.
we'll be doing this through the town then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't even need a tax title custodian, we only need to do it through the Board of
No,
Selectmen?
but you certainly want to have enough, you know, as many options as you can within the four corners of the article,
Yeah.
you know, available to you, so. But I would recommend you do the 30B
Yes,
disposition
we should look at
process.
the options. We might have to authorize the treasurer collector to be the tax title
That's correct.
custodian so that she can handle all that. so.
Exactly, okay. And Article 12, Mr. Chairman.
That's
Which is
13.
I'm sorry, 13.
Thirteen,
Yes.
yep.
13.
Thank you, Owen. Is the fire station borrowing article, I did say before, you know, as to form, you know, the form of the article has been perfected, and that's it.
Now, we have the, back in what I mentioned before, the debt service schedule. We have 2 pages for 8.7 million, level debt service, and then also, level principal. Basically, when people bid on the bonds, like you can see the coupon rate, it has it at 4.25% all the way through. That isn't normally true. Basically, when the different banks or financial institutions bid on this, they give different interest rates. Some are high, some are low throughout it, and you don't know what the fact that this is level interest all the way through really is misleading. I would think that a financial advisor with his experience, or recent experience in issuing debt would have been able to come up with a better scenario here with, you know, just guesstimating what the interest rates would have been. I think you know, some of these rates are probably gonna be higher than that. They could be at 5 or 6 or 7% in some of the other years. So I have a little bit of a problem with this, because we have $400,000 in revenue that, from the personal property new growth, but, the total principal and interest is $584,000. And, under the level debt, and then level principal, it's $713,000 and $698,000, so, and basically, with the level debt, you're gonna pay a total of $14 million, and with the level principal, which is what's common generally in municipalities, you're gonna pay $13 million. But even at that, they have the coupon rate at 4%, and it would not be at 4% with every year. It would be changing around, so I have a little bit of concern about this. And then with the possibility of our pension expense being high, and then also the $250,000 to $350,000 in the next 2 or 3 years that we're gonna be paying for the water district, you know, doesn't give me a very easy feeling to approve this.
These figures were come up with through our Unibank, which is our financial advisor. Is that
Yes.
correct, Jim?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Helen, any thoughts on this? You're in the mortgage industry.
Oh, no, the rates definitely fluctuate, but is this consistent throughout when we get an analysis like this, that they would use the straight rate?
It's probably an average or something.
That's what I was thinking, it was be an average.
It
Is it an average?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paula.
I mean, it's very difficult to predict future. I mean,
Yeah.
so you've gotta use some baseline,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know, and I mean, the bid results are the bid results. I don't think 5, 6, or 7% is, you know, the cost of money, today is, you know, and these are tax exempt, you know, for the bondholders. 4% I don't think is is an unreasonable average. I understand that they sell to their investors in blocks, you know, and different offerings have different, yields on them, but, you know, this is the baseline representation here.
Right.
Until you get the actual bids in, you don't know.
So
we-
what are your thoughts, Jack?
Well, we have $400,000 dedicated. I know that they're gonna have an issue coming due in 2017, but I don't know about the, no, I don't know how that $400,000 is gonna survive, considering that the report that we got from the town accountant saying all the budgets are in balance, and we're gonna have to come up with $250,000 in 15 and 16 to subsidize the water, and then possibly $350,000. Are we gonna go forward and approve a municipal building in town and then lay people off? Because we don't have the funds to match to it. That's what my concern is.
So what would your recommendation be?
I would recommend that we wait till the annual town meeting to look at this when we have a more definitive amount of money that we're gonna have available.
Sarah?
Well, I think this has been gone over with pretty much of a fine-tooth comb for several years, and I have to rely on the experts at Unibank. They're telling us this is doable. Seems to me that it is. I think that obviously every year, we have to always count on a certain amount being appropriated into the Building Stabilization Fund. So far, so good. I see no reason why that would change. I suppose it could, but this is, how you buy a building.
Howard?
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the one where this is just going on to get the approval to do it, but that you would still have to come back to us for an approval to spend this, issue this money. So in other words, it's just getting it on to the town meeting, so I don't have a problem with it.
There's no mechanism in place to put money in that building stabilization fund. What we did was, we reserved in the levy $400,000 in cash flow. The only thing that can be put into that building stabilization fund is the actual amount of taxes that's collected, similar to the CPA. So there's no real dedicated revenue stream on there. The only thing that's dedicated at this point in time is the $400,000. And that's what my concern is even that gonna survive with trying to come up with these monies for the future? I mean, it would be better to wait till the annual town meeting and look at this. From what I understand from talking to Steve Pratt was, we have another big payday coming with personal property new growth. And if that comes through and is true and is left on there according to what we've all agreed to do, then just waiting 6 months isn't gonna bother us because the money will be there to fund that.
Yeah, I have some grave concerns with the information on the North Carver Water District issue and the pension liability issue, which exceeds the monies that we've attempted to allocate to the stabilization funds. What are the ramifications if something like this is approved and that money disappears?
Well, it can't disappear without the executive authority of the Board of Selectmen. The article would authorize borrowing, would authorize you to go out to market and borrow money to move the project ahead. If, that authorization does not mean, that the money appears and can be spent. It's, it's subject to, you're actually issuing the debt.
But I guess.
Just says that you can.
Right, that we can borrow the money.
Right,
That's correct.
that's all.
But it doesn't automatically borrow the money.
Doesn't obligate
Well,
us.
No.
No,
No, it does not.
What could happen is you could do bond anticipation notes. in increments and, you know, be into the project and then find out you don't really have the money, then what do? You cut budgets?
That's
Or do you
my
have an
concern.
override to
Yeah.
fund the thing?
Well, you've got to, yeah,
It's
you've got to
kinda
decide. I mean,
dangerous.
you can only pull the trigger once, really. You
Well,
know,
when you do
because
the,
you know,
this
bond
is for permanent,
anticipation note starts the whole, starts the whole process, you know that.
and that's what I'm afraid of, because I don't
Yeah.
think that, you know,
Now, the concept, as I understand it, is that if this, let's say this were authorized today,
mhm.
you would use at least 1 year, probably 2 years of bond anticipation notes, where your only obligation is the principal, I'm sorry, the interest expense on that. It's analogous to a construction loan before you,
Okay.
before you do
Well, you
your
have to-
permanent mortgage financing.
Okay.
It's,
You
you
have,
know, it's the
3 out of
same
the
thing.
5 years, you have to make principal payments, so, you know, if you've, into the
Beginning, yeah,
projects and you're.
beginning in that year. And
Yeah.
so as I understand it, the bridge is indeed the current stabilization fund, or could be the stabilization fund balance itself, to get up to that 2017 year where you have a big drop-off on your debt schedule.
But it's the reservation of the levy amount that you're dealing with, not the amount that's in the stabilization fund.
Yeah, you know what? I'm an outsider looking in on the reservation of levy amounts and stuff like that. I think you're complicating this thing. I just, to a point where it confuses the public. This is straight up borrowing.
Yeah.
It's a straight up borrowing
And
based
we-
on the
and
full
we-
faith and credit of the town.
And we don't have the revenues to
Well,
support it.
that's the decision that you have to make,
Yeah.
but, the idea of dedicated revenue streams in principle is fine, but, you're locking them up and you're not giving yourself any,
All we have to do is wait till the annual town meeting. 6 more months.
not
And
arguing-
then I'd feel much better.
How does that impact us by waiting 6 months to do
It
that?
will allow us, if we get that big payday coming in, for that to be reserved as well too, and then we'll have all the money that we need to construct it.
But it won't impact us negatively if we put it on the special town meeting.
Well, if we put it on the special town meeting and we get to the annual town meeting, and like happened several years ago where we held hostage for $700,000, they take that money and put it all in the operating budget, we get a major problem.
I would,
Well, that could happen.
only if you
Yeah.
issue the debt.
Yeah, and we have to approve the debt.
You've already approved the debt, now you need to come up with the funding for it, and not all the funding is there.
No,
That's half. Yeah, he's,
Yeah.
no, he's half right on that. Issuing it, you have to make sure there's a sufficient appropriation to pay your principal and interest expenses on that, so.
so the bottom line
That's
is,
certainly one thing, but the other thing is, if you don't have those sufficient resources, or project that you will, you simply don't issue the debt.
But if you've already, when you start projects, you use bands, bond anticipation notes. And, there's sufficient funds in there to pay those bond anticipation notes until they hit a certain point. And if you don't have the additional money in there,
Right. And that's why I'm saying I wouldn't pull that, you can only pull the trigger once. Once you issue a bond anticipation note, you're in.
exactly. So why
Right.
not wait 6 months?
But this is not issuing a bond anticipation note, this is authorizing
It's
us to do
authorizing,
that, as
yeah.
Helen pointed out.
This is, typically you have a special town meeting for something that's an emergency. This isn't an emergency. We can afford to wait till the annual town meeting and make sure that we have those funds available.
I would prefer to err on the side of caution and make sure that we do get those funds and we're able to move forward. What I don't want to do is get into a project and wind up having to force an override down the throats of the citizens. On top of, we have a school issue going on now, too.
Yeah.
And we need to decide, we need to pick and choose here what we're going to do, so.
These are value judgments for you to make.
Yeah.
I've been talking,
Yeah.
I've been arguing process and,
right.
Yep, no, no.
and certain facts and things like that. In the end, what goes on the town meeting warrant is the value judgment of the Board of Selectmen.
Jack, do you have a motion?
Well, I think someone has to make a motion to approve it. I make a motion, we disapprove it.
Or
We don't
table-
put
or
it on the
table it
warrant, table it until the annual town
to the
meeting.
annual town meeting. Is there a second on that?
No, I think we should go forward with this. I believe I'm understanding this totally correct, that we cannot, this is just allowing us the ability to
That's correct.
borrow, but unless we approve to issue a borrowing, it can't happen.
That's right.
But we don't have the funds to make any debts, to make the sufficient debt service payments.
But we're not,
But
we're
we're
not
not
expending
doing
funds right
anything.
now, yeah.
We're not, this
You're
is-
authorizing building something when you don't really have the resources available.
Well, we don't know if we have the resources available.
Well,
We're
you,
not issuing the bond right now, that's the.
All right, we have a motion, we have no second on that?
no.
All right, that's gonna fail, so the article will stay.
Mistake?
Okay,
And that's it, Mr. Chairman, on the.
we're
as I
done,
know
that's
it.
it?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Will everyone sign it? Can you pass that one? That's warrant. Has to get posted this Monday.
Okay.
Before the meeting. Before the meeting.
folks, we're gonna take a 2-minute break. Anybody needs to run to the restroom, get a drink, whatever. All right, folks, we're gonna reconvene, because Elaine says that we have to be out of here by 9 o'clock.
Is there a game, or that, not till tomorrow?
It's the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and I'm sticking
All
to
right.
it. Okay, all right, yep. Okay, up next is United Nations proclamation.
I make a motion, we table it till the next meeting, till when Dick Ward and Sarah are here. I think this is something near and dear to their heart, and so I think we should give them the opportunity to say their piece on it.
I agree.
Mr. Chairman, I just advised Selectman Hewen that the UN Day is October 24, so if there's no action on it, that ship has sailed
To
for
wait
this
till
year.
next year.
I think Mr. Franny's motion, in deference to our two colleagues, is always appropriate, so.
Okay.
Do we have a second
So
on that?
still table it.
Yeah, do we have a
and-
second on
Okay,
that?
sure. I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, you may want to do the same with, with this next item. I know that Mr. Ward
You know,
had
that
a-
was in my,
Yeah.
Yeah, we need time to read through that. I started reading
Yeah.
through it, but,
Yeah,
It's a lot.
actually with both of these next items, the minutes too.
yeah,
Alright,
because
so
they
the
need to be
next
here
three?
as well, too.
yeah.
Make a motion, we table Sherburne Board of Selectmen operating procedures and approval of minutes of October 8, 2013.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 It's unanimous. November Selectmen meeting schedule. Meet at 6:30 before special town meeting on 11/12. And hold a regular meeting a week after special town meeting, 11/19, instead of Thanksgiving week. I don't have a problem with the 6:30 before special town meeting on 11/12, but I will not be here on the 19th, just for
Would you
information.
be here on the 26th?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because we're getting close. I'm going to give under Selectmen's notes my
why I
report
looked
on the
at
Town
that, yeah.
Administrator Search Committee, so
Okay.
the 19th might have been tight, but the 26th would be pretty good for us to,
Okay.
after we've made our selections, who we're going to put in front of the Selectmen, it would give us a chance to check all the references and everything, so.
Excellent. Maybe by then we'll have something back from
Yeah.
the Collins Center too, right?
I suppose. No, you'd have it, on the total project stuff. Yeah, perhaps so. Mr. Chairman, point of information, I did tell you at your last meeting that the proposed tax classification hearing is scheduled for November 19th.
Does it have to be on the 19th?
I don't think we've put the wheels in motion yet in terms of that does have to be advertised, doesn't it? There has to be, I don't think that's happened yet, so we might be able to push it out, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna recommend we have a meeting next week, so we can make this decision next week.
All right.
So can I table this? Table this as well? Until the next meeting?
I suppose so, and
Make a
I'll
meeting-
I'll be able to tell you where we stand
Can you make a meeting
classification-wise.
next week, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion, we table this too as well until next week, and then we can make a final determination, you can find out about the classification here.
Yep.
Okay, so this entire article is tabled.
Yes.
All right, next up is citizens' participation. I see two hands up there. We'll defer to the town clerk first. The lady?
Good evening. I just want to express my concerns about the website. I am concerned about that, being the person who is responsible for the open meeting laws in the town and making sure the meetings are posted. If we do have a problem, I would like to know if we have a contingency plan for the website. I'm addressing all of you.
Shouldn't be a problem. We were told that it would run for between 6 months to a year on its own.
Well, I used to manage an IT department, and I know that IT people have high expectations, and those don't always succeed. So
Materialize. You also
I
had
am concerned about that.
Well, I suppose if we have to draw on some expertise, we'll do that.
Okay, just to keep in mind that we are listed with the Secretary of State's office as posting our meetings 24/7 on a website. We had to get special approval for that. So if we do have a problem with that, we would not be in compliance, and I just want you to be aware of that.
Mr. Purcell, maybe you could give the Secretary of State a call and just let him know we have an issue right now.
I'll manage as best I can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Dunham. I don't recognize you out of costume.
Alan Dunham, 11 Ricard Street. I'll keep it short so we can be out of here by 9. Just want to go ahead and bring to the attention of the board and everybody that's watching on TV, or may see this on YouTube. There's going to be a benefit performance at the Carver Middle High School auditorium on Friday, November 1st, and this is to benefit the Carver Middle High School Drama Club. The show is titled A Night on Broadway, and it's being presented by the Drama Club, and it'll be a Broadway review of various Broadway musicals. 7 p.m. on the 1st. There is a cost $7. All proceeds will be going to the Drama Club to help defer the cost of 2 productions they'll be doing during the school year. Generally, they do a regular play in the fall, and then they have a spring musical. And this is going to be a way for them to defer those costs. And it's, relatively cheap night out, and it's a chance to see. There's a lot of talent in the Carver Middle High School, and it'll be on display. So November 1st, 7 p.m., and a $7 admission.
$7.
And what are the 2 productions, you know?
I can't remember the name of the production at the end of the month, and I should or at the end of November, and I should because my daughter's in it. But the spring musical is going to be.
You didn't just say that on live TV, did you?
Nah, not at all. She's not watching. She won't be embarrassed. But the spring musical, I believe, is Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, good.
They have done in the past. Seussical, this past last year they did Once Upon a Mattress. So they do some really good stuff on both their performances, and a chance for them to get the money to defray the cost, because building sets and costumes and everything else like that.
And I hope people in the town will take the opportunity to go. $7 isn't very much money, and it will help out immensely, and it will show that the community's really interested.
Exactly.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Everybody heard that now. Come on, 7 p.m. on November 1st, Carver High School, $7 admission for a great cause.
So you better look
Come on out and
look and see how many
enjoy.
selectmen go to
Mr.
it.
Dewhurst,
I guess I'm a citizen now.
you are.
Just a couple things. I'm not going to give you a website update at this point, although we've done a ton of stuff on it, including everything that's been asked of us. I have a question though, 2 questions. Have any one of you visited the website recently?
Yes.
Have you noticed all the changes to it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know we solved the minutes problem for a cost of about $10 a week? You know that we're saving the town about $20,000 a year. Do you have a reason I can bring back to my committee, the people who used to be on my committee, saying why it was necessary to get rid of the website committee?
I think Mr. Franny
I
spelled it
think
out.
I spelled it out pretty well.
I'm still confused.
I don't know what you don't understand.
We're not going to
from it.
rehash this. Okay?
Understood. Just thought you might have a succinct statement for us.
I think he spelled it out. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we're moving on to town administrator notes. Mr. Purcell.
I think you heard them already, Mr. Chairman, under the special town meeting warrant articles. That's been my almost sole focus for the last couple of weeks.
Selectmen notes. Ms. Morrow.
Couple things. Dawn Patavoni, who's been very active with the food pantry, has asked me to read this announcement that the Carver Council on Aging is sponsoring a food drive on Sunday, November 10th at the Frosty Dog from 1 to 4 p.m. Bring the family for an ice cream and bring a canned good or non-perishable food item. Your support will be appreciated. And she wants everybody to know there is no Patriots game that day. But I think I want to elaborate, because I think prior to the meeting, I heard that the food pantry's food was stolen at the Shaw's Supermarket. That is accurate, which is... Oh, okay, it was a misunderstanding, but we didn't get the food back. Oh, so the bottom line is there's an even extra need, if you do have non-perishable items that you can donate, and the Frosty Dog is always a fun place. The other thing is we lost another, well, now a former resident of Carver, 19-year-old Keith O'Connor, unexpectedly last week, and I just want everyone, if you do believe, to say some serious prayers for Keith O'Connor and his family, and that may he rest in peace. He was a nice boy. I knew him personally. He had a great future ahead of him. So please pray for him and his family. And that is it.
Jack?
I'm the chairman of the Town Administrator Search Committee. We're bringing in 9 people to interview. We're going to have 2 candidates come on one night, and then the following week we're going to have another 2 candidates, and then the Saturday in between, which is November 2nd, we're going to bring in 5 candidates. We did have a different candidate that came from out of state that happened to be in the area, so we had a little subcommittee of 3 members meet with that candidate. So in all, we're talking 10 different people. We've just had some absolutely outstanding people apply to our little town, and I think the board's going to be very pleased. I'm trying to keep it to 3 members, but some of the members want to bring in 4 and possibly 5, so it might be a little bit difficult with 5 to do, but there's, I mean, if you could sit in this committee, you'd have big smiles on your faces. I see some of the backgrounds of people that applied for here, so. Also, I know that some of you got this little, you can pass this over, this little thing for the town of Granby.
Is this the same thing that was collected up?
Yeah,
Oh, is
I actually went to the Board of Selectmen's meeting in the town of Granby, and they're way out by the New York border. I went to a Selectmen's meeting, there happened to be someone that I knew that was going there. So I went there, and I went on their website. They have a really great website. 6,200 people. They have $4 million in their stabilization fund. They have a landfill that they collect $1 million a year in host community fees. Unlike us, we get nothing for our landfill that's down in South Carver. And this is the last year, and they've already, they use that money to fund different reserve funds and stuff. They also have a municipal building stabilization fund that they fund from town meeting. They just had a special town meeting to build a new elementary school. They didn't go for an override like we were told. For the feasibility study and for the schematic design, they took the money out of there, and they're gonna pay for that. So they invited me to come back, because I wasn't on the agenda. So if this guy goes back out there again, I'm gonna go back. We wanna invite the finance committee to our next meeting so that they can,
Yes.
and maybe even the
Meg,
town.
Meg,
maybe-
the
maybe
town
even
accountant.
The town, huh?
Town accountant.
Yeah, in the,
And
town building study committee.
what about the treasurer?
The treasurer can come too if she wants.
I think we should have all the financial people there for it.
I was remiss, I was gonna bring some people before us. I happened to be in Dee's 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there was a young couple with us, and they had twins, and that always interests me, because I have twins. and they were in town. This was their first day. They had just moved into this town. And so I was gonna try and bring them and introduce them to the town because they thought enough to get up and go to breakfast and go to Dee's, one of our little,
You were the first person they met when they came into
yeah,
town?
you know something? It was their first day. It was the 29th anniversary of,
Was that that
Sorry.
moving van I just saw going out
it
of
was
town?
my 25th, 29th anniversary to buy in my house. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are groaning over that, but, you know. So I might have them come before us and we can introduce them to the community. They have 3 kids and they just bought a, and what she also told me is that she is the coordinator for like 6 or 7 food pantries on the Cape, so maybe we
Yeah.
can get her to volunteer.
Get some
around here.
ideas, maybe,
Yeah,
yeah. Excellent. Jack, you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay. Couple of notes. I have one here from Our Lady of Lords Parish. Jingle Bell Fair, Friday, November 8th, 2013, 4 to 8 p.m., and Saturday, November 9th, 2013, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The big raffle, Chinese raffle, giant menu of prizes to pick from, the magical Christmas tree, $100 and assorted lottery tickets on one tree, Santa, baked goods, white elephant, hand nets table, snack bar and kitchen. 2 days, fun and rummaging through all kinds of stuff. So,
They always seem to get a big draw from
yeah, they
people
do,
in the
they
community.
do pretty well. A lot of people put a lot of
South Meadow
effort.
Village had their stuff.
Had their
thing
white
last
elephant
year,
sale.
And a lot of people were
Yeah.
there too.
So if you have the time and the inclination, please come out and join them. Obviously, it's for a good cause. They do a lot within the community as far as taking care of our residents, so, especially over the holidays. So every dollar counts, just like in our own households. Another reminder, Veterans Day is coming up. If you need to change the flags on headstones and just go out and pay your respects, you see somebody in uniform, please thank them for their service. Also, November 10th, it's the 237th birthday for the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah and Semper Fi to all my brothers and sisters out there.
You're gonna have any things in town? You're gonna be setting up something at the library? or
We do
to
something
teach
up at
about
the
Marine
Convention Center in Southie every year. It's about 1,500 of us that get together, swap stories
Corps? I
and
thought you'd do something.
tell
in
lies
town,
and
You know?
and drink massive quantities
I was
of
gonna say,
Coca-Cola.
you need a ride home.
Yeah, I do. I have somebody that comes with me that drives. So, and along those lines, please keep our servicemen and women in your thoughts and prayers, especially as we approach the holiday season coming up. Having spent many years away from home, I understand how those young troops feel. So any support you can give them would be greatly appreciated. Go Sox. In case you didn't notice, the chief was kind enough to let me do this. It's probably coming off right after the World Series. Unless you insist I keep it, and he lets me. Both. Yeah, I answered to higher callings. So, and lastly, God bless you, town of Carver, and the United States of America. And at this time, we are supposed to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman,
The town administrator.
you want to take a pass on
I
that too?
think we should take a
And you
pass
did
on
have a
it, yeah.
question, you asked me
Yeah.
before the meeting about it, I couldn't answer. There was a key question I couldn't answer, and we decided that we might talk about it, but
Right.
put action off till next week.
So make a motion
The
that we
three-member
postpone
board.
it until the next
Yeah,
meeting.
let's punt
Works
it.
for me, and we'll make Elaine's deadline by 3 minutes. Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Second.
It's all on you, Elaine.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn. Who's got that? Jack? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Helen?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.